Welcome back everyone, it's time to go balls deep. And what if I told you that there is a fourth type of devil fruit?
Nani?
Yes, with our balls deep analysis, we might have just answered Kaido's question about Luffy's fruit being able to have attributes of both paramecia and zone type devil fruits. And there are likely more of these Hito-Hito no Mi god type fruits, from the god of rain to god of the forest and even a god of earth, as told to us in Nolan's flashback in Skypiea. But since Yusuf isn't here this week because he caught a nasty flu, I will go straight into the new chapter. And oh my god, is that Luffy holding a freaking lightning bolt?
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Luffy with his rubber powers is literally grabbing lightning from the sky as if he is Zeus about to smite Kaido the mortal. On top of this, Zunisha also confirmed that Luffy is Joyboy and it was all destiny for Luffy to be Joyboy. Now there's still a bit of negative sentiment in the community regarding Luffy's freedom being stopped by him following destiny, but worry not. I will explain why this perfectly makes sense. Okay, so the chapter starts with Kaido on the ground after Luffy's attack from last chapter. Luffy is chilling, still thinking about what he should name his new attack that he just used on Kaido. This shows us that Luffy is still innovating his attacks and he has to react so fast against Kaido that he can't even think of a name beforehand. Kaido then puts his scaly hands on his face and asks Luffy a simple question. Who is he? Luffy is of course confused because he's just Luffy, but you know, with his new god skin, I can tell where Kaido isn't recognizing him. But for reals though, Kaido's question is very legitimate, as Luffy's transformation is not normal even for Kaido, who himself ate a mythical zone fruit. Let's not forget, he also has a lot of experience under his belt. He's a freaking emperor. He has seen so many things, yet Luffy's transformation still surprises him. Now, I know we mentioned this already, but we believe this transformation is in fact unique and not just a simple zone switch up. In fact, we believe Luffy's fruit isn't just a normal devil fruit, rather it's a special kind of fruit. This theory is basically a collective understanding that devil fruits within the One Piece universe have a new classification. Not just Logia, neither paramecia, and no, not even zone. Rather, this category is called the god fruit. Okay, before you think we are losing it, just hear me out. The difference between these devil fruits is that they actually have mixed properties from the other categories, and their zone counterparts, as alluded, are gods. Luffy's devil fruit is an example of this, with it being the representation of the sun god. But throughout the series, there have been many clues and foreshadowings to this concept, including the idea of there being more god fruits. The biggest take is from Skypiea, when we get to see a flashback to Nolan's time. In Shandora, the city of gold and Jaya, the people followed a practice and had their own religion, where they called out to the god of the sun, god of the rain, and god of the forest, and god of the earth. But obviously, their understanding of what these gods were got wrapped up. You know, sacrificing girls at the altar and shit, you know, just crazy stuff. I'm sure somewhere throughout time, there was loss in translation, and the idea of who those figures were also got lost. But that doesn't mean that they didn't exist. And Luffy having the zone fruit of sun god Nika brings the question, why stop there? Couldn't there be a earth god fruit, or maybe a rain god fruit, and so on and so forth? In fact, this theory even postulates that Luffy's dad, Monkey D. Dragon, also ate the rain god fruit, and Im-sama also possesses a god fruit. Some of you guys on Reddit even suggested that Green Bull, the new admiral of the Marines, must have the forest god fruit, because you know, he's still alive after abstaining from eating for over 3 years. He's obviously using the sun to stay alive, you know, using photosynthesis. Like, how else is he alive? His name is Green Bull. Bruh. Either way, if there is the idea of these god fruits, and as Yusuf was suggesting in our last video, if zone fruits are literally the soul and consciousness of living beings imbued into these devil fruits, then would that mean these gods were actual figures who lived centuries ago? The world of One Piece is ridiculously big, where we all accepted the idea of intergalactic species living on this planet. Even the moon where Enel is situated right now has proven this. Not to mention different species with wings and shit, like come on, they're aliens. But if you want us to explore more into the god fruit theory, then let us know down below and make sure you have that notification bell ringed, otherwise you're going to miss out. Okay, I'm doing what Yusuf does every week. Let's just jump back to the chapter now. Before Luffy can answer Kaido's question on who he is, we see Zunisha once again reaffirming that Luffy's heart is beating like the drums of liberation, just like Joyboy back in the day. Zunisha continues next page saying how excited he is. There is nothing other than destiny for Joyboy to be back at this time. He has full faith in him. Now this panel reaffirms that Luffy's journey, though directed by his own will, was in fact aligned with the will of something greater. The notion of destiny and fate within the One Piece world is constantly thrown at us time and time again, from the Will of Deed to the prophecies of time by Toki to other related themes. But when it specifically came to Luffy, the reality is that his journey was woven to as though it was outside of his control, and that Luffy was just going with the flow with one thing in mind: meat.
What did he say?
Okay, not meat, but the simple thing that was on Luffy's mind was freedom and his ability to express freedom to others. However, Luffy's journey aligned him with a perfect crew, to perfect scenarios to exhibit his innate ability to express freedom and liberation. So even though to Luffy he's just being Luffy following his dream, his world around him is being woven so that dream can be delivered. This concept was even brought up very early on in Luffy's hometown Fuchsia village, where the mayor, after seeing Luffy's first bounty, questioned whether Luffy's choice to become a pirate was his dream or his fate. But without going too philosophical, we come back to Luffy, who finally answers Kaido's question about who he is. He says that he is Monkey D. Luffy, the man who will surpass Kaido and become the Pirate King. Now, all you guys telling me that's not Luffy is Joyboy taking over him, be quiet, alright? He said it himself. He is Luffy. The devil fruit did not eat him. Whoever came up with that theory.
Stupid.
Anyway, back to the chapter. With Luffy's loud statements, Kaido smiles, telling him that he's glad that he has still got that big mouth of his. Kaido's demeanor is really lighthearted even after being smashed up. In his perspective, he just supposedly witnessed Luffy die, rise up in a brand new Zoan transformation, to then display an awakening as though he has both Zoan and Paramecia attributes. Luffy's transformation in fact was so wild that it's no surprise that Kaido had to ask him his identity. But this also goes back to Zunisha's comment on how it's like Joyboy is right there. This change and activation of Gear 5th Nika mode is as though Luffy is embodying the spirit of something else. Hence why Kaido is relieved and happy that he is still fighting Luffy and not anybody else. Kaido then tells him that what he is going through is called an awakening, when one's mind and body harness the full potential of their abilities. In a way, it feels like Kaido's respect for Luffy has grown to the point where he now recognizes him as an equal. My guy is literally confiding within Luffy about his losses, saying how this war brought about casualty from the death of his men, the loss of his castle, and everything he built. And as one king would say to another, Kaido questions that these losses aren't exclusive to only him, and that they're probably the same for Luffy too in this war against the Emperors. Here Kaido is referencing how Luffy screamed out Pedro, Tama, and the people of Wano's name last chapter, which gave him a boost to keep going in Gear 5th, along with the efforts to come this far. Even his mind and body are suffering. Luffy is laughing uncontrollably, and his body literally turned into an old man when he ran out of steam for a little bit last chapter. However, unlike Kaido, Luffy isn't thinking about what he has lost, rather he still believes in his Nakama and how he will take back everything Kaido has stolen no matter what. out. Kaido then goes on the offensive again and uses his Gundari meteor shower, but Luffy is being molded to Kaido's Kanabo just like before, and Kaido is being turned into rubber to get hit by Luffy. They both come out of their punches even more exhausted as Luffy coughs and Kaido references the Kazenbo flame which has surrounded all the floors along the castle. He says that Luffy's army of thousands are trapped and will burn to death. Luffy, however, doesn't care for Kaido's silly distraction tactics. He trusts the guys below to take care of the flames. His job is simply to beat the crap out of Kaido. This shows how Kaido is now on his last legs as he's now telling Luffy about situations other than the battle to maybe take his mind off it or to distract him. Anyway, whilst we're kind of talking about awakenings for a second, I think Kaido still has his left to use. But as we know from lore, awakenings are a super draining ability which you should only use when it's the last resort. And so if Luffy keeps pushing Kaido more and more, he will have no choice other than to show it to us. Oh, and also, where is Kaido's flashback? We need to see a young Kaido with Rocks and the crew, okay? Huh? Oda? Are you listening? Do you hear our plea? Next in the chapter, we move away from the battle on the rooftop and onto the live floor. Everyone is freaking out about the fire inside the castle as it's also spreading to all of the towers too. Even Nami doesn't know what to do about it. Plus, as Chopper says, Zoro, Sanji, Frankie, Usopp, Robin, Brook, Jinbei, they might all still be trapped. And I mean, even if they wanted to try and help, what are they meant to do? The entirety of Onigashima is now one big pyre. There is no safety unless they find a way to land. Even Zeus says, nah, I ain't a part of this one, man. This sounds like a you problem. We then move on to the underground where the fodders are running away, blah blah blah, yeah, whatever. The situation on the first floor is also pretty dire where Beppo, who is a freaking polar bear, can't take the heat. Same with Penguin. In fact, everyone in Law's crew are screaming out for help as they think that this is the end of the line for them. But the fire just continues to keep growing. Back underground, the samurai think that Brook is a burnt corpse who is nothing but bones and pity him. We then switch to the left brain tower pleasure hall where Sanji is also trying to escape from the fire and get the pleasure ladies out safely. But just like every other place, you guessed it, it's not possible. We then see Apu trying to use Inbi as a shield against the fire to break down the walls to escape, but Inbi gets his hand burnt and can't seem to break through the wall. Moving to Usopp, also in the underground, he uses his green star sprinkler to try and get rid of the fire, as he made a promise to Izo that he will save Kinemon and Kiku, and yeah, he wants to save himself too, of course. In the end though, it turns out that all he's doing is wasting his energy. In the right brain tower, Frankie is running with Zoro but has no clue where he should even be going. But he must find Chopper soon as Zoro needs immediate medical treatment because remember guys, the only reason that Zoro beat King was because of Chopper's shrooms to forget that every bone in his body was literally broken. So right now, Zoro is quite literally at death's door in a confrontation with the Grim Reaper himself. Moving on though, all the fodders try to stick to Frankie as they scream that they want help from Big Bro Frankie, but Frankie just tells them that he will burn them. We then move to the fourth floor. Whilst everyone is running away from the fire, the true Kage of all shinobis was hard at work. He tells Jinbei that he is all set and is ready to release his jutsu. But before the jutsu can be done, just like in Naruto, we have to go through a flashback. Raizo thinks back to the time when Odin Castle was burning, where he could not save Hiyori, Toki and Momonosuke. He let everyone in Odin Castle be exposed to danger. He sulks that he was a failure, however, now he won't experience that humility ever again. He thinks back to his time in Zou where Zanisha was taking a shower and he asked if he could take some of the water due to the sheer amount of it. Which is when Raizo then inside the castle uses his Ninpo Scroll Jutsu Elephant Bath, a water jutsu more powerful than than anything Zabuza could dream of, brings a stream of water through the castle. Jinbei, with his fishman karate, then uses his water heart fishman jutsu ocean current shoulder throw to guide the stream, putting out the fire. This saves the minks on the 3rd floor as they were about to get engulfed by the flames, whilst the kid pirates are holding up Killer so that they can die instead of their commander. They scream in pain due to the heat as they have nowhere left to escape. But what do you know? Jinbei's water flows down through all of the floors and reaches them just in the nick of time. We then move to Momonosuke and Yamato, where Yamato is literally pushing Momo to hurry up and make his clouds strong enough to hold Onigashima. If you guys had forgotten, Onigashima is literally floating in the air because of Kaido's flame clouds. And once Kaido is dropped unconscious, then his clouds will dissipate, which of course means that the island will free fall to the ground. But Yamato reaffirms that Kaido is at his limit. The flame clouds aren't gonna hold, and so Momonosuke has to make the clouds which can support Onigashima. And guys, Yamato is not wrong, because as we turn the page, we then see Luffy with a freaking lightning bolt in his hand looking like Zeus, all whilst Yamato says that Onigashima is going to fall. Now, you watching, I know what you're probably thinking. You're probably thinking, oh, what? How the hell is Luffy catching lightning? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Since we saw Luffy literally running on air, and not quite like how Sanji does with Moonwalk, he actually ran on air, turning the air around him into properties of rubber. Similarly, he turned the lightning into rubber and grabbed onto it. And also, his body being made out of rubber, it makes him the perfect insulator to hold lightning. Now, when he releases it, it will likely turn back into real lightning and clap Kaido right in the face. But Kaido can't lose just yet, because like I said, we are yet to have his backstory. Now, if you enjoyed this video, go and check out our video where we explain all of the properties of Luffy's fruit and go over why it is so special.